Welcome to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. I am worn out, which may be a good thing for you, because then maybe I won't be my normal 50 billion miles an hour trying to spew everything from my brain out through my mouth self, and you needing to hit pause and go back. What did he say? Slow down, right? Slow down. Well, slower today. I'm recording on a Thursday, following the election, but with my health and everything, I am just worn out with the stress and everything going on. Still, at the time of this recording, morons dragging out, delaying, still haven't figured out, oh my God, how do you count votes? It's like they have to relearn every 2 years, and especially 4 years, the presidential election. But I should have been in bed at 10 o'clock Tuesday night, but I kept pushing myself to stay up and was up till 3 o'clock in the morning. That's a perfect segue into this episode that we're going into. Behind the scenes, you could see me holding up page 1 of thelibertybeacon.com version of No, You Cannot Rest. And indeed, I pushed myself till 3 in the morning. We knew the presidential race. We pretty much were assured we were going to take control of the Senate. The question is now the margin, and we still don't know because morons either purposefully playing games or are inept and need to be fired, like DeSantis did with the crowd in Miami-Dade, that every election results for them would take days. No, they changed their law. He fired them. They got all their votes counted before midnight. Isn't that amazing? It's so easy to do if you put in the rules and make sure you fire the incompetent buffoons or those you know darn well are purposely, willfully, malice aforethought, trying to drag things out. And even if they aren't trying to cheat, it obviously raises questions of you're dragging it out and allegations because you're cheating. Eliminate the thought. Voter ID. The only reason to oppose it is because you want to be able to cheat. Not getting the results in when they could and should be in is because why? You want to be able to cheat. Georgia also fixed most of their laws. I think they still have room to go. Rhino Kemp, governor, and Rhino Secretary of State Raffensperger, they cleaned things up a bit that forced Atlanta to actually get their results in. And I think they too were in before midnight. And if not, they were certainly in by 3 a.m. when I was going to bed. But still, at question here is that margin of the Senate, because, of course, Arizona gotta fire some people, as well as change your laws, dragging it out. And the House races, several districts, people need to be fired, dragging it out. We don't know who will control the House. It's projected, expected that GOP will retain control of the House, but due to the 2020 census and a lot of Soros-backed ballot initiatives and other meddling and whatnot, the districting had been gerrymandered to favor Democrats a lot of places. Otherwise, we would have had a bigger margin already and would be assured of a bigger margin now. But Democrats still have a shot because of gerrymandered seats, and they're dragging out the count. Are they cheating? I don't know. You don't know. Hopefully, we've got as many eyes and ears on the process 24/7 as it happens till it's done. But this day and age, there is no excuse that results cannot be in at least 4, 5, 8 hours later at the max. 8 hours after polls close, they need to have the results. So we know, not this dragging it out for a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which of course raises the questions of they got to be trying to cheat, right? I mean, it's an obvious question. Michigan still is a laughing stock, along with Arizona and California. Florida and Georgia clean things up again, but Michigan, of course, no, every 2 years, same problems, same places, same people, same Democrat controlled enclaves, playing games, dragging it out. We didn't know our Senate race went to Alyssa Slotkin rather than Mike Rogers, whom we said all along was a bad candidate. Here we go again, bad candidate. We told you. I held my nose and voted for him, even though I backed Doc Sherry in the primary. They wouldn't have had the identity politics manure to go with. And hello, morons, sorry, strategic stupidity if you don't recognize a female senator, retired, been there since the 90s. Of course, a lot of people who focus on identity politics would then want a woman to replace her. Ridiculous. It has no bearing or merit on ability to do that job or not, but we all know Abraham Lincoln didn't get to say, Gettysburg, Schmettysburg, I'll let the South have it. Sometimes the enemy picks a battleground you must fight on, otherwise it's surrender. Do you want to just surrender these seats like Michigan Republicans did again this cycle by putting up Mike Rogers, which also there were other Republicans, conservative Republicans, platform Republicans, constitutionalist Republicans. Again, I held my nose and voted for him in the general, even though I didn't support him in the primary, that said right up front, then at the primary, if Mike Rogers is the candidate, they will vote third party. Go look up the results. They did. Mike Rogers predictably lost. I'm surprised he actually landed up making it as close as it was, because many people saw him as a C-no, conservative in name only, and a deep state intelligence group insider. And they didn't want that. And they warned Trump and Jokestraw and anyone and everyone will listen. If he was nominated, he will lose. They will vote third party. Bingo, predictable results. But they never learn. They never, ever learn. And again, Arizona with Kari Lake, yeah, going to lose again. We don't know. That's still ongoing. They're taking forever. It's still in dispute. Like Dr. Oz last cycle in Pennsylvania, we all told you, bad candidate, dumb idea. McCormick, I think, has been declared the winner now this time. He should have been the candidate and would have won last time, but Oz predictably lost after continuing to say, oh, Oprah's a great and trusted friend and an advisor. A lot of Republicans absolutely positively then refuse to even hold their nose to vote for him. Predictable loss. And why do these things matter? Because we have control of the Senate now, that's for sure. Hopefully that will rise. If we had 54 or 55, as we could have if Oz wasn't the candidate, if Rogers wasn't the candidate, the jury's still out on Kari Lake. Again, as I record this, we don't know. But if speculation, if she loses, then clearly bad candidate. Cannot win, could not win, will never win. But I sure hope we're wrong. I hope she pulls it out this time. And we'll have 53 at least control in the Senate. But all of those seats together combined, if we'd have been at 55, we might have had a chance at a filibuster proof majority in 2026. Now, out the window, off the table, because people don't think short, medium, long terms strategy. It's not just about the now. It's not all about the past. It's also got to be factoring the past, the current, and the future, short, medium, and long-term plans and strategies. And they pissed that away. Pissed it away by not thinking strategically. But I'm now, 12 minutes in. Those all relate to no, you cannot rest. This is why you cannot rest. In the off election years is when you need to work to make sure we have a good candidate in the primary to make sure they win the primary so we can win the general elections instead of being stuck at the last minute with these lame, bad candidates that constantly cost us Senate seats, also constantly costing us House seats, which, again, were projected to get the House by what margin, however. And redistricting, the census, the gerrymandering favors the Democrats. So it's harder for us to control the House. Like in Michigan, we have a Soros-backed ballot initiative. People, not politicians. So the ballot initiative passed, and guess what? The left got to put together a committee controlled by leftists. And wow, lo and behold, what a shock and surprise, as we all told you was going to be the case, gerrymandering to favor the Democrats in Michigan. Same thing happened in several other states. That's why the House is so tight. We have to work 1,000 times harder. And again, that goes back to you can't take off. No, you cannot rest in the off election years. You cannot rest right now when you're hearing this. Again, I'm recording on Thursday, November the 7th for the Saturday, November the 9th drop. We're still not going to know if we've retained control of the House probably by then. What are you doing if you can do something? Again, with my health, I can't hang out at the polling places and be an inspector, to actually be there and directly involved and deal with shenanigans that come up. As we've seen in the past, poll watchers, they just ignore the law and toss them out if they plan on cheating. So you've got to be a poll inspector, but I can't do that. I can't spend from 6 in the morning till potentially 6 in the morning the next day to try to be involved and help get the votes processed and all that. Hopefully you can look into being a poll inspector. By law, it is required that a Democrat, and at least one Democrat and one Republican, be on there as inspectors for balance and security. Everybody's keeping an eye on everybody that way to prevent the cheating, but we see it time and time again here in Wayne County. Again, you gotta be involved. 24/365. Now, yes, I've written, and you've seen, no doubt, occasional breaks, right? You need an occasional break, but you can't go to sleep for 6 months. The point here, no, you cannot rest. You must stay involved. You must be a GOP delegate. If you're going to complain about CINOs and rhinos, the only way to do anything about it is to be a delegate and on the field of play where you can affect the outcome of the final score, as opposed to being up there in the nosebleed cheap seats whining and, hey, ref, you suck. You got to be on the field. Yelling from the cheap seats doesn't do a thing. It just makes you look like a fool to those who actually do things and are involved. And yes, okay, football games, hockey games here and there, occasional breaks are not just good, they're healthy, they're needed. But again, don't get to go back to the couch and sit out until 2 years from now, the spring and a primary comes around. Oh, who do we got to choose from this time? No. If you're involved, you help get candidates that is a better choice. So stop the CINO and rhino complaining if you're not actually willing to do something about it, so we can have better candidates in the general election and not have ourselves in this position again where we could have had a 55-member majority in the Senate after this election, but they pissed it away. And therefore pissed away a supermajority, quasi filibuster-proof majority come 2026. If those things would have worked, and we all would have been willing to work for that. Again, I don't know. I should put up a counter. How many times have I said, no, you cannot rest. You must stay active. We didn't get here overnight. It's not going to be solved overnight. It's going to take decades to unravel a lot of this leftist garbage because the Democrats still have the filibuster. Because we, who like the founders and the checks and balances, have sworn to protect and keep the filibuster, when the left, of course, was promising if they won the presidency, the House, and the Senate, they would eliminate the filibuster, then pack the Supreme Court and ram through all kinds of unconstitutional stuff, but it wouldn't matter because they'd have liberal activist control of all the courts up to the SCOTUS. Have I made my point clear enough yet? Have I emphasized it enough yet? Why? You cannot rest. Cannot go back to sleep. I've been involved in politics since 1978. My godfather, for those in Michigan, in Southeast Michigan, will know the name Thomas Coogan. My godfather, Democrat mayor of Melvindale. He was somewhat conservative, not entirely. Unfortunately, he caved too many times to the ultra-left Democrat Party control elitists, but he was somewhat conservative. One of the last. Today, there are no conservative Democrats. This is why we need filibuster-proof majority, because the Democrats will attempt to filibuster everything. And if we had 55, a few Democrats might have been willing to cross over to break a filibuster here and there as CYA. Them being up in 2 years and not wanting to lose their seat, if they pretend at least to play along and support some of Trump's stuff by siding with us to break a filibuster now and then, they might keep their seat. Well, that's out the window too. If we only have a 53 person control majority in the Senate, requires 60, we're not close enough to be able to then pick off a Democrat or two to get things done. They're going to oppose us at every turn. Of course, yes, we could get through spending cuts and must return to actual budgets, not continuing resolutions. In fact, we need to start a constitutional amendment process of balanced budget within however many years, and that they must pass a budget. There cannot be continuing resolutions. Make them do their job. But hopefully we get back to budgeting rather than continuing resolution omnibuses with all that crap packed in it, which is how the left has been getting all of their spending through, even during Trump's first term. So we need control of the House, and eventually, hopefully, maybe there's still pray, a chance within the odds of me helping colonize Mars. Hopefully, odds better than that we could still get a filibuster-proof majority in 2026, but doubtful. Are all these things making sense? I'm sure most of these things are making sense to you. The problem is you need to share this with those who don't grasp it. That's part of why I'm here. With my health, I can do this from my couch. I can't get out and do things like I used to. One, my health won't allow it. I don't have the energy. And on disability, I sure don't have the money to be able to go to the dinners and the rallies and the whatevers all the time. I can't afford the gas to drive 2-3 counties over for an event like I used to. I just can't do that. So that's why I'm writing books and doing this show. So yeah, I guess my motor mouth is not worn out, even though the rest of me is so run down, having gotten to bed at 3 o'clock. I slept in Wednesday, but I still got up at 11. 8 hours sleep is not enough for me with my conditions, unfortunately. And a lot of times I have to take a nap in the afternoon too because of my conditions. But at any rate, I don't think I've said that yet this episode, did I? At any rate, now there's 2. Those of you who are younger and more energetic need to do more for those like me who've had to bow out of many things. We must be involved as much as possible all the time, not just come primary and general election time. Cannot rest. Only thing necessary, evil prevail, good peoples do nothing. Burke, right? As well as others having said it. That's exactly right. Do you think evil rests? In fact, in the article, I'll read the first opening part of thelibertybeacon.com piece that's correlating in conjunction with this episode. And yet again, you need to go there and read that, not just listen to the show. There's a whole lot of other things not in the show that'll be pointed out in that article. And at the top, title, right? If you're behind the scenes video, could see that. No, you cannot rest. Part 1 I've added because there will be a part 2. Seriously, do you think Satan and his minions ever say, oh, let's give them a break? No, I dare say, plug the kids' ears. Hell no! Certainly not. And as I will touch on down thread, only thing for evil prevail, good peoples do nothing, as I'd already said. As a TLB from me piece came some time ago with the evil prevail title, clearly time for some recap and review. And I will wrap up the CTP episode part of this here. Again, encouraging to go there. I talk in the article about the uniparty laziness thing. Again, that goes back to the screaming from the bleachers, the uniparty, the language of the lazy. It gives them an excuse. While our documents say, we the people. The party, as well as the country, is what we the people allow it to become. And if we the people, enough of us that are real conservatives, real constitutionalists, real platform Republicans, aren't involved, then we, and please check out other episode with Frank Tall that will be coming up, talking about, yes, like Michael Jackson, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Pardon the bad singing. I used to be able to sing. I wrote and recorded music, but my singing voice is shot now. At any rate, what's that, number 3? I was just joking with another guest the other day. The at any rate ongoing gag now, trying to cut out the ahs and the ums, but the at any rate is indeed an ongoing gag now. But Michael Jackson, man in the mirror, right? Start with the man in the mirror, asking him to change his ways, or Rick Springfield, if you prefer. Prayer off the Karma album. I send a prayer to heaven for the chance to be a better man than the man I see. Well, you've got to take action to make that change. We must be the change. And I hate to use that word because, of course, the left always uses hope and change. And in this election, we had dope and deranged. But when we say change, it means personal change and personal growth. It doesn't mean changing and throwing away our nation's foundations. As you should know, I created the term ROAR, ROAR, hashtag ROAR. No, not Katy Perry fanboy, her, Helen Reddy, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar tribute video to Helen, her tune Roar. Not about that. It's about restore our American republic. So when we talk change, we're talking about changing back, about MAGA, make America great again, get back to the checks and balances of our foundations, which means repealing the 17th Amendment so the Senate is the state's body as it was supposed to be and appointed from the state legislatures, not directly elected by the people as the House is. That is the people's house. That's why it's called that. It's the House of Representatives, the people's house. We were meant to elect them directly. That's why it's the 2-year term. The Senate, a 6-year term, and if need be, a legislators group that appointed them could demand them resign and replace them short of 6 years. So at worst, they'd be there for 6 years. But the Senate is meant to represent states' rights and the House, the people's rights. And that check and balance is gone. They want to eliminate the Electoral College, which protects us against the tyranny of the majority. Otherwise, without the Electoral College, basically, New York and California run the entire country. Although this time Trump won the popular vote. And it used to be the case, I looked it up, I have it in another article, all through the 1900s, up until the end of that century, it was really the case. Republicans that won also won the popular vote. But of late, whoever wins the popular vote assuredly wins the presidential race. But a few times Republicans have won it without winning the popular vote, which is harder to do. But the point of the protection, the check and balance of the Electoral College, and no, you cannot rest if we are to protect that, if we are to repeal the 17th Amendment, if we are to restore our American Republic. We didn't get here overnight. It's not going to be undone overnight, especially with the Democrats going to filibuster virtually everything to drag and stall and delay the leftist 7Ds, right? You can look up that article. I'll write down a note here to put that in the show notes as a related link. They take decades because, remember what I said, short, medium, long-term goals, plans, strategy. They always think long-term. Well, incrementalism is what got us here, right? Obamacare was just a stepping stone. And there are videos where the Democrats were captured in moments of earnest that Obamacare was made to fail. It was incrementalism, a stepping stone to not Medicare for all, Medicaid for all, because Medicare is an actual paid entitlement, part of FICA. You pay into it. You're entitled to it. Medicaid is not funded through your sweat and toil, your own blood and treasure paying taxes in it. Medicaid is open to anyone for any reason. A state decides to give it away, and that comes out of general budgets. And that socialized medicine, which the Nazis perfected, is not about our health. It's about power and control, extortion. You know what? I love the government bureaucrat. Instead of, they like to say, oh, let's get rid of the private health care. And you don't have to argue with, let's just say, Blue Cross Blue Shield about a procedure or a prescription. What difference? Actually, it makes it worse. And I have an article making a note, put that in the related links. Do you really want the DMV running your healthcare? You don't understand how that would be worse. And that's what Medicaid for all will be. Instead of a local representative at your healthcare company that you can actually call up and talk to, or you could go to their building and knock on somebody's door. Hey, I got a problem with what's going on here. No, all controlled out of DC. You don't get to talk to them. You don't get to see them. You can't show up because there'll be armed guards keeping everybody out. They will decide whether your son or daughter gets, your spouse, your brother, sister, your aunt, your uncle, your grandma, grandpa, your mother, your father. We'd love to help you with that procedure, but we need you to stop criticizing our commie, fascist, socialist government so much. You and all that smaller government stuff and the talk about the founders and limited republic under a constitution. We need you to stop all that stuff, and we'll be happy to give you that. It's extortion. That's what it's about. But people haven't figured this out yet. It's a shame. Again, I know, share this with those who don't know. And as I say in my CTP2 book, the quotations chapter, I'm writing a note, quotations. I will include a link. It's mostly famous people, famous quotes, of course. A few famous quotes that came from someone you might not have known it was. And yes, a few Joe originals, like the left. They don't know, and they don't want to know, because they do know enough that if they really knew, their delusional bubble would be burst. So share this with those delusional people and actually get them educated, informed. It's why the Department of Education was created to dumb down people. They wanted top down, again, the left, commie, fascist, socialist, dictatorial, top down, fascistic rule over education. No longer state right, no longer local and parental rights control, but dictation out of DC. Look how well that's worked. Dumb kids. Yep, not stupid, ignorant, right? They just don't know because they haven't been taught things. And if you're not encouraging them to research things on their own, they wanted civics out of schools and they removed it. They wanted history, for the most part, out of schools, just their Orwellian rewritten history. They prefer the cultural Marxist rewriting preferred narratives are in the schools now. No economics taught either in basic schooling, and against school choice because they don't want you to be able to send your kid out of the indoctrination factory to a school that'll actually educate them. And I've talked to several people. You can look up May Renfro. I've got coming up Jane Sharp. We talk about homeschooling, but everybody's working several jobs. They can't do the homeschooling. So we need school choice for that. But that's why Department of Education was created, top-down dictatorial control, and our scores keep going down and down and down. Our kids are dumber and dumber and dumber, no less and less and less, by design. As George Carlin said, they want them smart enough to run the machines, but dumb enough to know or learn only what they want them to think rather than how to think and actually research anything. And I talked with Jane Sharp. That show's probably dropping in February, so that's a ways out. Jane Sharp has some children's books. So indeed, at any rate, I got down other rabbit holes, and indeed, I'm worn out. I'm looking at the clock, Thursday, 2 in the afternoon. I'm going to have to go take a nap, indeed, because I'm worn out, worn down, and if I don't get more sleep through a nap today, I'm going to land up truly, really beyond run down and deadly ill again. So I can't let that happen, obviously. We've got to take care of ourselves, be involved as much as we can where we can. You cannot rest in the figurative general sense, not the literal sense, as I'm about to do by going to take a nap. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care and God bless. And may God bless America, protect our new leaders that are looking not to fundamentally transform, change America, but restore our American Republic. God bless. Hey, gang, a brief interruption in the show about Christmas giving, kind of, sort of, or to ask, are you a coffee drinker? What about other coffee drinkers you know? It's indeed Christmas giving time, Hanukkah giving time. Again, I want to ask you, those coffee drinkers on your gift giving list, socks that'll get put in a drawer, they forgot you gave them, a tie or a shirt that'll end up buried in the back of the closet, they forgot you gave them. How about something useful, like Blackout Coffee? Yes, I am partnering with Blackout Coffee. You can use promo code JOSEL20, Joseph for Joseph, L20 for 20% off, JOSEL20 promo code. Or better yet, I've created a shortcut, tinyurl.com/blackoutcoffees. And of course, blackout coffees all run together as one word, not three separate words. So again, tinyurl.com. I love using their shortcut services, /blackout coffees should take you right in and automatically apply your 20% discount. So for yourself or for others, this Christmas, give Blackout Coffee something you know they're going to use, something they're going to enjoy, something that they then fondly remember you and your gift every time they sip from the Blackout Coffee cup of coffee. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Merry Christmas. Thank you for having tuned in for Constitutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.